Nestled in a corner of the Keirunga Plains is the Hawke's Bay town of Havelock North. Havelock North has many fine amenities. One of the finest is Keirunga Park, home of the Keirunga Park Railway, one of the world's top model railway complexes. This is how the site looked back in 1986. The vision of 7 enthusiastic modellers led to the leasing of this unwanted local authority land for the establishment of a multi-gauge railway. August 1986 saw the start of a construction program that would take 5.5 years to complete. Although heavy machinery was used to create the formation, most of the work was done by hand. Within 4 months, foundations for the signal cabin had been laid and the walls craned into position. This is number 3 tunnel under construction. The 4 bridges were designed by professional engineers, and just 1 year after the first sod was turned, piers for the concrete bridges were lifted into place. The steel arch bridge at Fletcher's Crossing was fabricated in only 3 days and assembled in just a few hours in January 1988. After 2 years, the site looked like this. In October 1988, the signal cabin was built. The following 3 years saw the bridge railings installed, signal cable laid and the points built. The first track was laid in April 1991 and finished in December. This is 1994. Preparations are underway for Keirunga Park's greatest challenge of all. From the very first day, we all knew this was going to be a great convention.
Out on the track somewhere. No one can get out.
Safe saga. I haven't had any.
Live steamers from all over New Zealand have brought their living treasures to Keirunga. 65 locomotives, along with 235 devotees, have come for 5 days to indulge themselves in one of the most passionate hobbies on earth, model steam engineering.
Okay, I'm away.
Let's take a look at the Keirunga Park circuit. First, from the driver's perspective. On the 7 1/4 inch Hunslet Josie, driven here by Gavin McCabe. As we cross the wooden trestle bridge, 45 metres long and 4.5 metres high, the phantoms of Dave Giles and Stephen James take up the tour. It's back with Josie as we approach tunnel number 1. We're still attacking the 1 in 100 grade as we approach the junction. Here a line switches back to the downhill line. Now we're running parallel to the summit track. Jan's Log, Keirunga's shortest bridge. Fletcher's Crossing, a steel arch bridge 17 metres long with a centre span of 12 metres. Stewartson's Loop is the farthest point from the station and is closely followed by tunnels 2 and 3. Out of tunnel number 3 with great views of any following traffic. Now we're at the summit. Down the 1 in 50 grade past Hillcrest. It's an easy coast over the number 1 tunnel and around the embankment curve. At the junction, we're joined by the deviation from the uphill track. Bridge number 4 is the longest concrete viaduct on the circuit, with a length of 45 metres and a height of 6.5 metres. Between Bridge 4 and 5 is the Agapanthus Bank. Number 5 is the last bridge on the line, a concrete viaduct spanning 24 metres. Lower quadrant somersault semaphores control entry to the station area. This wooden footbridge gives safe public access to the platform area.
I want to welcome you all here this morning, particularly those people who have travelled from far away internationally to make this an international event in New Zealand. One of the things that really inspires me, ladies and gentlemen, is the work and the dedication and the investment and the creation of volunteer enthusiasts such as model engineers. I'm just astounded at what I see here ready to go on the great parade in a moment. Congratulations, Nigel, to you and your team that have made this possible, and welcome again everyone, locals, but especially those of you who have travelled from overseas to come to this place. Enjoy it, enjoy the comradeship and friendship of Hawke's Bay people and New Zealanders, and I hope you will see a bit of Hawke's Bay and New Zealand while you are here too. And Nigel, just before I officially say open, I want to hand you just a small gift in recognition of your efforts as convener of a team who have brought a great event to Havelock North and Hawke's Bay. I'll do the official thing now and declare this convention officially open. Have a great 5 days, everyone.
Following the convention opening, the Mayor, driving the official train, led the cavalcade of locomotives.
By a New Zealand KB type. 3 loads, I think. And the big DC locomotive, which will be coming.
Started this back in 1980 after I'd been to North America and saw what was available or what could be built in the larger size engines. And after 8 years, it was finally completed in January 1988. And it's given me a great lot of pleasure since then. This is the steam gauge, shows the pressure in the boiler. And these 2 gauges here are for the air brakes. This engine is equipped with a Westinghouse air compressor. This engine is actually 1/3 full size. The prototypes were built to run in North Wales in England, specifically to haul slate from the slate quarries down to the dockside. As you could well imagine, even in full size, they're quite small engines, and the engine driver could just stand up in the cab. This engine also carries water in a saddle tank here, as well as a tender. The full-size engines never had a tender, but in model size we put a tender on, which provides a riding car for the driver.
Barclay, it was at the Wellington Gasworks, bringing coal from the Miramar Wharf up to the gasworks, originally. Above the footplate is as it was built, but below the footplate I've got fitted Brem valve gear and overhung cranks, because I didn't like Stephenson's inside the frames.
Scaled on 1234, which was in its later life based at Great over the west coast. I've built it with the original streamlining as originally delivered to New Zealand Railways, because that part of it appeals to me. The engine and tender weighs 250 pounds. It's 1.8 metres long. It's got a tractive effort of about 118 pounds, and it's pulled on a flat track. It's pulled at around 1,700 pounds dead weight.
This is an American 440 locomotive. It was based on the loco that was popular in America between the 1860s and 1880s. This is a model built by Bob Walters of the Maidstone Club, and I bought it. It was coal-fired then. I have since converted it to LPG firing. It's a very reliable little runner. Goes very well.
No, the loco was completed in '76. It was actually built by my grandfather, late Phil Chalk. The loco is based on the B1 Springbok. My grandfather never actually liked the narrow fireboxes, so he cut the rear set of wheels off and put the pony wheel on it, and converting it to the Atlantic and making it quite a different sort of logo.
Alice class Hunslet, built by the Hunslet Engine Company. This one was built in 1902 and used in the slate quarries right up till 1968. There was 20 of them built, 20 or 21. 19 of them have been preserved. This is 2.5 inches to the foot, Josie's 4 inches to the foot.
This is based on the Great Northern Railway freight engine, 280, which is an 03 class, which was designed by Nigel Gresley, who later became Sir Nigel Gresley. And they basically did all the freight work on the Great Northern and LNER systems, which is built by Brian Mould in Auckland.
Keirunga Park Station consists of 4 roads with 3 alongside platforms. The water supply for locomotives is treated by a specially installed water softener. Handling the 8,000 people who took rides at the convention was the job of the friendly platform staff.
This is the Taupo train, refreshment stops at Tipahui and Tarawera for the trout fishing in Taupo and then return. Thank you very much. Righto, this train going to Auckland, stopping at Hamilton for coal pie, and we have a very special thing with the third tunnel. $5 for the driver, $2 for the guard. Stop the third tunnel for the tunnel of love, okay?
All this traffic is controlled from the signal cabin.
You just hold them out there and shift 491 onto the main.
They're just coming in.
Oh, too late, okay.
I'll hold the rest.
This is a full-size Westinghouse Type L 24-lever frame, originally used on the North Island Main Trunk Railway at Tikawhata.
Well, you can send 25 straight down the relief, eh?
Yeah, I will. I'll have to. I can't do anything else at this point. Come on, mate. Move it, move it, move it.
Lift that hose up and let the EC go.
A few years ago, Bruce Fordyce, who was at that time largely getting all the bits and pieces together to put this track into existence, read in the copy of the model engineer about some points I'd designed for our track at home. Trying to cope with points with 3 gauges all at once does lead to certain difficulties. He wrote and asked me whether I could send him out details, which I did. He talked us into coming over to the opening year last Easter, and we couldn't resist the temptation to come back again this time. But I don't think there can be many circuits anywhere, not only in New Zealand, but anywhere else that's equal. The distance, maybe there are some that are a bit longer, but they haven't got the variety and the civil engineering that's gone into this, and that's what puts this one into a class of its own, is all these bridges, tunnels, viaducts. It's amazing.
After a hard day steaming, participants were well fed and watered.
Would you like some lettuce? Yeah, you got the best job, haven't you?
That's all right. The last lady said she'd like a bit of the other.
That's all right.
I thought that was interesting.
On the Saturday night, the gala dinner was held at the Hastings Masonic Building.
What I want to do tonight is to recognise those 7 people who had the vision and the enthusiasm and the dedication to see a job through. Because what we have out there now would never have eventuated without that sort of enthusiasm. And whilst we will all enjoy it, and whilst the community will enjoy it, and I'm sure you they do, often the people that put it there are forgotten. Thank you, fellas, for a great job, a great contribution to Havelock North as a village, and to the Hawke's Bay region as a region. Andrew Bruce Fordyce. I'll just read the first one. It's headed founding member. This is to certify that Andrew Bruce Fordyce is duly recognised as a founding member of the Havelock North Life Steamers. His contribution both in the formation of the society and the construction of the Keirunga Rail is hereby acknowledged with gratitude of all the members of the society. And stated Havelock North, 8th day of January 1994. The second one is to Ross Edward Nichols. Mr. Moneyman, John Dunn. Desmond Terence McLaughlin. Harry Andrew Welsh. I know he's a rogue. He uses everything in sight. It's a lot of pleasure to give to my brother, Nana John.
I'd like to give this back to Harry in recognition of and an admission of everything I stole from him.
Bill William Joseph Harmon. We haven't got another founding member, but we have got a first patron, Harry. And, that's the one you didn't know about, Harry? The competition for the most popular locomotive, and I hope he's here tonight, it was the Beaver Lumber Company. It's Edward 970 and it's owned by Gavin Hargreaves.
Well, this locomotive is a 7 1/4 inch gauge Sweet Pea. The plans were bought by a friend of mine in Nelson from England. He had them for 2 or 3 years. I then built 2 5-inch gauge Sweet Peas and decided that I needed something bigger to passenger haul. So after a lot of thought, I purchased the steel and signed in at the Nelson Boys College to go up there on a Monday night and use their equipment and then proceed to do the wheels and cylinders, which are fabricated, they're not a casting. Basically everything on the locomotive was built by myself, apart from the pressure gauge and the 3 ball valves which came from the sale of some of my previous locomotives. The boiler is constructed of steel. I profile cut out all the components and then took them down to a certified welder. That kept our local boiler committee very happy. The whole project took approximately 2 years of work, a very patient wife and youngsters that went to bed very early. So it's freelanced, 242 instead of 040 wheel arrangement, tender for riding in, which makes it very comfortable. The original was based on a 2-foot gauge contractor's locomotive in England. Very many of them were built over there. The 7 1/4 inch scale, of course, gives you a very large locomotive, being based on the 2-foot gauge.
On 2 evenings, the circuit was open for night running.
This is a Great Western 1500 class engine. I finished it in 1974, so it's 20 years old. It took me 21 months to build. It is one of LBSC's designs. There's a lot of them around, but this one's been highly modified several times, including just before I come down. It's got a lot of my own design features on it. It's probably the best O60 loco in the 5-inch class, but it's not a beginner's loco. It's quite complicated to build, but they look quite good when they're finished, and they go very well. I wouldn't like to think of how many miles it's done now, but it would be an awful lot.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. We've had a great time. It's almost unbelievable that this track can be here. 4 years ago I was here and there was not a rail in place, as I recall. And this weekend, why, there's just hundreds of people here, and everybody's having a good time. And people up on the hill up here, just watching trains go by, talking. It's been a very friendly group. It's a world-class layout you have here.
This is a great track. The fact that you go up through the mountain with the long grade and all the tunnels and trestles, I think it's among the top 3 or 4 tracks that I've ever been on anywhere in the world. I think running Lucky 7 here is the highlight of the weekend. It's a wonderful little locomotive, and just running it around the railroad and seeing all the other engines, those are the 2 highlights, running one and seeing all the other equipment that's here. So many of our tracks are single gauge, and so we don't get the little 3/4 all the way up to these big narrow gauge Malley engines all on the same track. So there's a much wider assortment here than we would find at a typical convention of ours in the States. It's been a great weekend. It's worth the trip if I went home yesterday.
The concept of these locos is to be taken from narrow gauge, where the final locomotive ends up being a 5th full size of the full-sized engine, and an engine where the driver can literally be in his own cab on only 7 1/4 gauge. So it means that it's copied from a locomotive that already runs on narrow gauge, such as Denver and the Rio Grande Railway, that runs in Colorado, United States, and this is only 3-foot gauge, and these locomotives happen to be big locomotives running on only 3-foot gauge, so that when they are modelled and reduced to 7 1/4 gauge locomotives, they become large enough so that the driver can sit in the tender and he is literally in his own cab. 480 was the first engine that started this particular type of engine, and that was followed by 491. And then there's also, of course, the Mallet, which is a similar, a 5th full-sized engine, but this was a logging contractor's engine from Snoqualmie Valley in Washington State, once again, USA. And these are a different concept in as much as that they are a Mallet, which is a articulated engine. This means that it has 2 separate engines. The front one can turn against the rear one. This enables the engine to negotiate the very tight curves that are found on most model 7 1/4 railways throughout New Zealand. So it's a big engine, and yet it can still get around the narrow railways the same as it did in full size, working its way through the forests of Washington. The track at Havelock, you could say that it's beautiful. You could say that it's a track that offers a challenge to drivers. But I think that the real word that covers the Havelock track is absolutely magnificent. It is in world class. It's one of the finest tracks of its class in the world. And, of course, so very, very luckily, we have it here in New Zealand.
Public Works had them to start with. They had 3 of them, built by Hunslet in 1926. And then the railways took them over after a period, and they used them for shunting jobs in Auckland. There was one down at Wanganui and one at Frankton. And this is the one, 543 was the one that was working at Frankton. I got entranced with the thing there with outside washout gear. A neat looking little loco. It took 20 years to build the thing. Hobby, of course. So bringing up a family and moving house a couple of times, spread over 20 years. But it's been running for about 12 years now. So it's just about worn out. I haven't plans for another one at the moment. Traction engine next, perhaps.
A small display of traction engines was held by the Agapanthus Bank. The final day of the convention, Monday, was set aside for running in the reverse direction. As this involves a long 1 in 50 grade, engineers had to maintain adhesion without stalling.
now.
At this convention, records were broken. The most locomotives at one venue in New Zealand, and the most people carried on one model train around the complete circuit.
Tonight we got 23 passenger cars together and 4 engines, and we actually had 123 people on. There was about 12 tonne of people, and there was about 6 tonne of rolling stock. So it was about 18 tonne we had up. The 2 big locomotives took the load virtually all the way, but they were just about to stall, and the 2 light ones on the back had to actually cut in and just push them up the last bit. Coming down, the 2 light locomotives braked the whole train. They had enough braking power on their cars to stop the whole lot. So it really was a record. I don't think it'll probably ever be exceeded again in New Zealand, because that's every carriage we had, basically.
I belong to Keirunga, Keirunga railway town. All the trains to Keirunga, they go round and round and round. I'm only a poor old station man, as you can all see. But when I've had a couple of rides on a Saturday, Keirunga belongs to me. How do you like that?